We've been having such a great discussion so far, but I ask you, what would you change about the course, if anything?
As far as changing things in the course, in my opinion, as I didn't like RuneScape, I think it was good to experience a different variety of games. I think if we were assigned specific games and only one or two games that everybody's familiar with, we wouldn't have the experience of understanding the differences and being able to compare them one to another. I was also not sure about the Dungeons and Dragons experience. I would have liked to have used my character a little more after taking the time to create her, her history, her background. I think it was just a glitch in the role playing session I participated in, but we were assigned our own characters, new characters, and I felt as though the character I created was not utilized.
I agree. It probably was just your gaming session because I think I speak for Tom and Al when I say that we used our characters that we created in our gaming session. So I didn't feel like she went to waste. I got to use my character in the way that I had envisioned her.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just want to add to that that I would have loved it if we could have, let's say, eliminated RuneScape. I know we're picking on RuneScape, but I'm just being honest. But I would have loved to have eliminated RuneScape and maybe continued with our Dungeons and Dragons sessions, or at least expanding on our characters. I think that would have been more productive instead of just jumping into a new game.
That sounds good. I really enjoyed just about all of the games. Um, I have to say though, the one thing that I would probably try to improve, and it's not under my control, but I noticed that in Quest Atlantis, as good of a game as it is, there was a great deal of lagging, and it was very difficult to move around the area because of the amount of time it took for the computer to catch up with the motions that you wanted to move in. And I thought that was something that would probably distract and annoy students in the class that are like 8, 9, and 10 years old. If I was to try to improve something in the game, I would probably say, let's get a game that is just like Quest Atlantis, but has a smoother interface with the user.
I would add to that, Tom, that also you're saying that you had so much lag and you were one person in your house on a computer. I can't even imagine the lag if there was 20 kids on computers in the same room. I know just from the school that I was at when it was free choice day and they were all on the internet. I mean, it was ridiculous. There was so much lag, so I can't even imagine what a graphic intensive program like Quest Atlantis would have done in that.
So, as great as this class has been, I'd like to know what your favorite part of this course has been. So, I'll let you go ahead and share, and then I'll tell you about mine.
Well, if I can jump in right away, I have to say that my favorite part of this course was the fact that Dr. Siegel allowed me to create my creature from scratch for the creature creation project as an illustration. I worked with the creature creation software, but the joy was in the actual drawing, inking, and coloring of my own work with no computer to get in my way. Now, the truth is, I haven't drawn in about 5 years, and this was an absolute pleasure for me. So the fact that Dr. Siegel allowed me the freedom to go away from what we've been working with so much, and that is the computer, to do it by hand, made that particular project the best part of the course for me.
That is very cool, Tom, I have to say. My favorite part of the class, in addition to Spore, because I think almost everyone's going to say Spore was one of their most fun parts, because that was really fun, making the little creatures. But I have to say, just really in general, even though it was the hardest and the most work, creating the adventure and really thinking about creating my own game was my favorite part, because it really did get me thinking about how I could turn subject matter into a game, and whereas maybe not creating an entire full-blown game out of it, definitely coming up with a much more interactive way to present a lot of material in my classroom.
That sounds great. What about you, Al?
Well, I have to admit, I really enjoyed this class. I loved making the rosters. I just had a lot of fun doing that for our team. because I loved working with the graphics and the characters and everything. And I love working on the final project. I really do. I love the whole story that I'm creating. But I have to admit, my favorite part of this whole class was really playing Dungeons and Dragons that first time.
That was awesome.
That was a lot of fun. With remember we had Winky the Wizard. And
my gosh.
I started the whole Jewish humor thing when for some reason, I don't know why I did it, I'm a little nutty, I drew the Jewish star on one of the graves.
I lost it. When you did that, I thought that was absolutely hysterical.
It brought me back to my days, because we played Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid. We had one of our wizards was Jewish, and it was the Jewish wizard Markdor. And it was so much fun, and Dr. Siegel laughed, and he jumped in with his stuff, and I started laughing, and I just couldn't stop, and I have to admit, it was just so much fun playing Dungeons and Dragons again with a group of people who were just letting loose, and for me, that was my favorite part of the course.
Okay, what about you, Jolene? You're the only one left.
I'm going to stick with Spore, basically because I can see a connection in my classroom. I'd like to use my Spore creatures in my classroom and let the kids use them as a creative writing tool, almost a story starter. I'm really excited to see where it can go from there, where my kids will take it. When I was in the process of creating my first one, and I was a little lost and going, what am I doing and what is the purpose? And honestly, I was thinking, why am I doing this? Then I realized they could dance, and I just went crazy. And my father-in-law was here, and so he had to come see it, and then I had to show my husband, and then I had to show everybody else that came to the house. Then I emailed screenshots to family and friends and postcard form. I was a little insane. But I really enjoyed that part of the course. I will say that overall, as hesitant as I was, I'm beginning to get it, and I totally can understand and I can see the connections through the creating an adventure and even the creating an assessment, which I thought was going to be deadly for me, turned out to be really good, and I was able to find the connection into my career classes and connections into life for using games and as motivational and educational tools.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed our discussion on gaming. As you can see, we're showing a scene from next week's discussion panel, Medieval Dancing. That's right, get down and boogie. Oh yeah, yeah, shake it, shake it, shake it. Woo, that was good.
Way to go. Ow!
That's right, we can boogie, and we can kick medieval ass.